And I'd like to take a moment to talk about something in your career leading Starbucks that you call a blow to our soul. And that is the racial profiling and the arrest of two black men recently at a Philadelphia Starbucks. So on that point, Democratic voter Orgina Kinnear owns the Caffeine Coffee Cafe here in Houston. Yes. And you have a question on this issue.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Thank you.
Last year, an acute situation developed at Starbucks store in Pennsylvania. Our nation was divided, and thoughts of racial profiling soared. An unconscious bias training session was implemented, and many moved on. Do you believe the training was effective? And do you anticipate the voters taking their thoughts about this incident to the polls?
Thank you so much for this question, because I think of all the things we can talk about tonight, injustice in America of any kind, especially racial injustice, which continues, is not something that we should be proud of and we need to resolve. The situation in Philadelphia that occurred, I don't know how many people know the exact story, and I'll try and be brief. Two African-American gentlemen walked into the store. They asked to use the bathroom. They were asked to buy something. They didn't. Something happened verbally between them and the manager. The manager decided to call 911. The men were arrested, handcuffed. Thank God they didn't resist, and they were put in jail. And it created a tremendous problem for the company. We immediately went to Philadelphia. We met with the two gentlemen. We met with clergy. We met with the DA. But most importantly, we realized that we had a problem. And it's a problem that I think exists widely in this country. And it's something that I would characterize as unconscious bias that many of us have based on our own life experience. And as a result of that, we decided that we should close every store at Starbucks at great expense, not for a PR stunt, not for marketing, but to train 180,000 people. And then we got experts who could help us do it. Cheryl Eiffel from NAACP, Brian Stevenson, Common, Melody Hobson, a whole host of people who could help us with the curriculum. It was 4 hours of training, which is not something that's going to change people's view. And now we're training everyone that comes into Starbucks, because we hire almost 50,000 new people a year. The training is ongoing. The training is deeply a courageous act, because we're doing something that we've realized we fell short on, and we're admitting the fact that we have to get better at this. And I think this is in many ways a proxy for the country. We have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations. We have to talk to people who are different than ourselves. We have to embrace the diversity of the nation. Starbucks is a diverse organization, and we want to do everything we can. It was a terrible moment for the company. It's not something that we're going to forget, and it's something that we learned a great deal from, and we're still learning it about. And I would just say, as somebody who grew up in a very diverse background as a young boy in the projects, I didn't see color as a young boy, and I honestly don't see color now. And I want to do everything I can in terms of the character and the dignity of what it means to be the President of the United States, is if I should run and be elected, that the Oval Office represents so much about the character of the nation, the morality of the nation. And we all know that we've seen things in the last 2 years that embarrass us, not only at home, but around the world. And we need to do everything to restore the humanity of the country. And the President of the United States has a large role to play in that, because he sets the agenda on the morality of the nation.
Orgina, thank you very much for that important question. All right, so let's move on to healthcare. Let me bring in Republican Brielle Corvetti. She's a medical student at Baylor College of Medicine. What's your question tonight?
Hello. So I'm wondering, what is your view on Medicare for all? More specifically, what is your plan to improve our healthcare system?
Again, thank you for the question. And I think this gives me another opportunity to talk about the extreme left and the extreme right. And so we have a healthcare crisis in the country on many levels, not the least of which is the opioid crisis. But the Republicans, for 10 years, 8 years during the Obama presidency and the last 2 years, have done everything possible to eradicate the Affordable Care Act. And they've done that without offering any plan. This is the far right. The far left is now suggesting Medicare for all. That is a $32 trillion number. And just like the issue I brought up before about making all the buildings in America energy free in terms of clean energy. Does anyone here really understand that Medicare for all also means that you will lose the choice of your doctor and your private insurance company? Not many people know that. So that would disrupt the entire system, and it'll cost $32 trillion.
So, Mr. Schultz, to that question, and because your question, Brielle, was about what's your plan, and many, I think, wonder, is it fair to criticize the left and the right? What is your plan to make sure that if it's not Medicare for all, what is your plan to make sure that every American can get quality, affordable health care?
First and foremost, three principles. One, I think everyone in America, every person deserves to have the right for affordable care. Every person. Second, there needs to be competition in the system. And what I mean by that is competition so that the American people can get access to prescription drugs at lower prices, because right now the government is not allowed under a federal law to negotiate with pharma. The third thing is that it has been tested but not proven yet about interstate commerce among insurance companies. But there's no doubt that, once again, the healthcare crisis has been with us for a long time. The other issue is I stand by the fact that I supported the Affordable Care Act. It covered 20 million people who did not have good insurance, but premiums have gone up double since the Affordable Care Act. So now we got to go back in and fix the Affordable Care Act and bring premiums down. Competition will do that. But the far right, remove the...
How? The question is how.
I
don't mean to start you from the back. The voice over your shoulder over here. But how specifically? Because I think so many people here hear that, but they say that is what Congress has been trying to do or talking about doing
You're wrong.
For so long.
Respectfully, it's not what Congress has been trying to do. What Congress has tried to do is, on the far right, eradicate the Affordable Care Act, and now on the far left, bring up Medicare for all, while prices have gone up. I mean, people are paying $300 for a vial for insulin that 10 years ago cost like less than $100, and the cost of it hasn't gone up. So this, you're gonna
But lowering the price of prescription drugs doesn't solve the whole problem.
It doesn't solve the whole problem, but do we understand the fact that the prescription drugs, again, I don't know how many people understand this. Prescription drugs in America are priced at price X, because we cannot negotiate with the drug companies. Those same drugs that are manufactured here are available in other countries at a lower price, because the drug companies and the insurance companies are spending $400 to $500 million a year in lobbying efforts in which both parties are complicit to maintain the status quo.